Hi, folks, it's Friday night, and here's an update for you. I hope you are well. I know when I go live, it takes a minute for people to say, oh, Jack's doing something, so they'll jump on. So let me just say good evening, and hope you had a good day as we are heading into the weekend. Got some things I want to touch base on here. It's been a crazy week. It's been a crazy 8-9 months, I know, but it's been a crazy week, and there's a lot I want to touch on here tonight. Kind of a speed round because what I've learned here in the last few weeks, especially since the election, that things are changing, things are happening all the time, and no matter what I say, and I'll get to this in some specifics in a minute, but no matter what I say, there's somebody out there who's going to call me a horse's patoot. So I can't really worry about that. What I've always tried to do is talk to the reasonable people out there to try to understand the situation as I see it. It's just me talking. I think I'm knowledgeable, but when it comes to the law, I'm not necessarily a specific expert on everything. Like today, I had a gentleman call and say, text me, an acquaintance, a friend. He said, hey, what about a recall position? If we recall, then does that mean there's another election to get a new governor? So I said, well, you know what? I don't know exactly how it all works. Let me text a lawyer. So I text one of our lawyers and I say, okay, how does this work? And it's not another election. It's the lieutenant governor takes over. And then if for some reason we recall the lieutenant governor, who's governor, the Secretary of State becomes governor. Secretary of State Benson becomes Governor Benson. And then if we were to get rid of Benson, then it would be Governor Nessel. And it's like I went 4 deep. And the next question was, well, then after Nessel, would it be Shirky? I don't know. You know what I mean? So it's like for every answer, there's another question. And it can be maddening. And the other problem with it, whether you think the governor is doing everything right or you think the governor is 100% wrong, there is always another question. There is somebody out there with their version of the answer. And then if you like that version, that becomes the truth. So now that it's kind of clicked here and people are on, I'll kind of get to the meat of things. And I'm going to start with the elections. It's a mess. And I know there are people out there that say, no, Jack, you say that, then you are just feeding into Here's the problem. We got a lot going on. And there appears to be some irregularities. Are they enough to overturn the election? Right there, I've probably just said enough to have somebody say, of course, Jack, and if you don't admit it, you're a Kool-Aid drinker. Hear me out here. I'm trying to talk reason, all right? A lot of this now lays in the court of the president. And I heard the press conference the other day where Rudy Giuliani was talking about Michigan and other states. I'm not saying he's not right. I'm saying he's got to prove it now. And the algorithms, and I saw it on the here, and he's got to go to a court of law and prove it. I'm not saying he can't. I'm just saying that's where it's headed next, all right? So you've got to understand that the way things work. Well, why doesn't the legislature do this? Well, because the legislature creates the laws, and then it's up to the governor, Secretary of State, the Attorney General to enforce them. Now, whether they enforce them the way you like it or not, that's another story, right? But that's their job. Our job is to oversight and come up with corrections. For example, our oversight committee, Senate and House, met the other day, and they had several county clerks in, and they got a lot of good advice on what we need to do to just overall election fixes. I think it makes a ton of sense. And so that's our job. For example, a lot of people, well, you can control the Electoral College, and if we think the vote was stolen, you can reappropriate the Electoral College votes. Maybe the way if you're interpreting the Constitution from 1776. But the Constitution gives each state the authority to appropriate those electoral college votes. We did in 1954. We set it up. Each party picks their electoral college. The winner of the popular vote gets them. If we wanted to try and overturn that, we can't. It's state law. We would be doing much of what the governor did with misinterpreting the 1954 or the 1940, whatever the heck that was, 45 law. Get my numbers confused. The 1945 law. Our job is to oversight and come back with deliberative measures. It's those other branches and other offices that are the enforcement. So that's where we're at. So you can wish and hope and want all you want, but there's only so much we can do. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't problems, right? But when it comes to the election, much of it is in the president's court and in the courts. So John James, candidate for Senate, has asked that the state certification of votes not be held for 2 weeks to allow all of this to play out. We'll see how that goes. If he doesn't get the answer he likes, we'd have to go to court and ask for a stay. Now, how are things in the courts? For example, the restaurants. The restaurants asked for a stay in the governor's shutdown, well, the DHHS/governor's shutdown of restaurants, right? Well, yesterday, today, I forget now, they're all blended. Anyway, the court came back and said, no, we're not giving you a temporary injunction on that. Now, a lot of people are reading that the restaurants have lost. They haven't. The judge just said no temporary injunction, and I believe the date they set is November 30th to meet in court to hear more on those cases. It's a process. I know that when you are passionate about something and you want it done, it's the way the system is, and it's tough. I know it's not necessarily an answer somebody wants, but it is the answer that's there right now. So we're moving forward on all of that. Again, I can try and touch on every base, but the system is working through. And, you know, you can, because I'm the messenger, you can be mad at me. But that's the system where we're at right now. Everybody that can do anything is doing it. And there are people out there that think everything's just fine, who think I'm not even going there. So I'm just looking here. So the election, that process is rolling forward. The legislature can only do so much. Can we, moving forward, maybe we try and change things. But even there, we're going to need Whitmer's signature on those sorts of things. So let's come back to something that flared up earlier in the week, the impeachment. Several of my colleagues want to put out a resolution. Here's the problem with that. And there's people out there who, yes, you've got to do it. And if I don't do it, then I'm a pansy, liberal, terrible person, miserable. Here's the problem with that, okay? It isn't going to happen. We'd have to get 2/3 majority in the Senate. And you think you're going to flip some of those Dem votes to get rid of the governor? Be realistic, all right? Plus, we are already divided. We don't need more division. And here's the other part of this. I'm not even going to try and answer every yeah, but. The people of Michigan voted the governor in. It's up to the people of Michigan to vote her out or recall her. All right? So would I rule out an impeachment completely? No. No, you'd never rule out anything. But is this the time? Probably not. All right? My colleagues, the group that think it's the time, they're not counting numbers, and it's not going to happen. So that's what I mean. We got to work through all of this, and I think reasonable people understand that. Passionate people can be upset and be hot, and I get that. So here's where I'm at. So part of me wanted to come on tonight. I started by saying I had a rotten week. Let me tell you. My week started, and I'm not going to go into great detail because I don't want to give these people any more publicity than they've already gotten. But my week started Sunday morning at 8 a.m. with protesters in my driveway. Yeah. And yeah. So then I read comments or I get emails, and like I say, if I'm not towing exactly the line you like, I'm a horse's patoot, right? So the other day I talk about COVID and I talk about personal responsibility. So I see in one of the district's newspapers a letter to the editor, and I'm not going to use this woman's name because I don't want to give her any credit. But basically, she was upset because I was talking about personal responsibility. And she thought the idea of me suggesting personal responsibility with COVID was horrendous. We've gone mad. I know there's a lot happening out there. I am not happy with how things are. Yes, I believe the governor is heavy-handed. I've talked about it forever. I believe that our restaurants are being hurt. We've got our economy that's being hurt, and so on. But when it comes to COVID, I will go back to this. I believe that we are in a situation right now where our hospital staff, our nurses, are being overtasked. They are worn out. We are filling up with patients, whether they be there for a heart attack, whether they be there for COVID, whether they be there for a nose job. I don't know, but they're being taxed. And there are some things that you and I can do that will help them. And I think it boils down to, and we're talking COVID now, what it boils down to is if you're a loved one, if a loved one of yours gets COVID and has to go to the hospital because their oxygen levels are low, whatever the case may be, you want them to be able to get into that hospital and get treated. You might not care if you get COVID. You might not care. You might think it's, but if your loved one, pick them. Look in your phone. Find somebody you love. And if that person, no matter what age they are, gets COVID and gets sick, because it could happen. Yeah, they might stay at home and not even have a symptom, but they might end up in the hospital. And if they do, you want to make sure that they can be treated. So all I'm trying to say to people right now is let's be logical. Our hospitals are tight. Our nurses specifically and their support staffs are whipped. They've been doing this since March. They're tired. So let's do our best this holiday season to not send people to the hospital. There are going to be people going. It's going to happen. People are going to get COVID and not go to the hospital. But let's do everything we can not to send anybody. So how do we do that? Especially with Thanksgiving around the corner. Protect the vulnerable. If you got the sniffles, you do this anyway. If you got the sniffles and grandma, don't go to see grandma. You know, that's what had happened. Honey, you got to stay home because we don't want her to get sick. You know, you'll see her next week, right? Protect the vulnerable. Social gatherings, we need to be careful. I'm not saying you don't have them. I'm a realist. They're going to happen. But when you have them, let's be careful. Let's make sure you got the hand sanitizer there. Realize that we let our guard down there. And again, remember that person you love, that if they get sick and need to go to the hospital, you want to make sure there's room there. So keep that in mind. Protect the vulnerable. Let's keep our social gatherings smart. Notice I didn't say not have them. I said let's keep them smart. Let's realize that that is a place where people let their guard down. I didn't say not have them. Did I? Did I not say have them? No. I said let's be smart there. You want to sanitize. You want to self-distance. And if you are able, meaning if you've got asthma, you've got anxiety, you're probably not going to wear the mask. That's okay. That's okay. If you are willing, because I'm not into mandates, if you are willing, wear the mask. I didn't say you had to wear the mask, did I? Why? Because I'm talking about personal responsibility. Oh, by the way, I was told in a letter to the editor that that's horrendous. So all I'm trying to do is talk common sense here. When it comes to the election, there are certain things that are happening. I know there are certain things you wish would happen. Well, they're going to have to play out. And I can't wave a wand, whoop, and make it happen, right? It's got to play through the courts. It's got to go that system. I understand your passion, and I respect it. But it's got to play out. I can stamp my feet, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen, all right? When it comes to COVID, I get it. Screw that. I don't like it. I understand. I really do. And I also understand that there are people out there who says, you're not wearing a mask, you're a terrible person, right? So I got to find somewhere in the middle here. When it comes to the holidays, this Thanksgiving specifically, protect the vulnerable, be smart at your social gatherings because we tend to let our guard down. We want to sanitize, we want to social distance. If you are able, you don't have anxiety, you don't have asthma, whatever, and you are willing, wear the mask, all right? Because our goal right now, number one goal, is to make sure that if that person that you love needs to go to the hospital, there is a nurse who has the gas and the energy to take care of them. So, I'm sure somewhere in those little, I've seen a lot of mean faces go by. I'm sure I've been called a horse's ass. And you know what? When I started, I thought I'm going to come in, and I was down a little bit this week. I started Sunday with protesters in my driveway. And I don't really give a crap about me, but my wife, she doesn't need that, right? So here's what. Happy faces, thumbs up, hearts, smile. It's Friday night. We're going to decorate for Christmas. We need Christmas this year more than anything. We really do, in the spirit of Christmas. We're going to decorate for Christmas at my house this weekend. And you know what else I did today? I ordered a Santa suit. So with that, I'll be back on Monday. I'm not going to do anything next Wednesday. It's Thanksgiving Eve. Monday, I'll do an update, and I'm going to talk about Thanksgiving and all that we do have to be thankful for. All right? And when I get to Santa suit, maybe I'll show you what it looks like. But all the crap that's going on in the world right now, all the crap. Let's take a minute and be thankful. We're heading into the month, into that holiday. All right? So, Santa suit's on order. Christmas tree's going up. Have a great weekend. I'll talk to you on Monday. Keep smiling.